These are true stories of the dark web. This is Ceci Baita News. Learn from these stories to elevate your online security culture. Story 1. Summer 2008. Marathon Oil, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips were hacked, resulting in the loss of valuable data about global oil discoveries. The involvement of China was suspected, highlighting the increasing sophistication of industrial espionage. In the summer of 2008, 3 U.S. oil companies were targeted in a series of undisclosed cyber attacks, believed to have originated from China. Experts highlight these attacks as a new level of sophistication in global cyber espionage. The breaches, kept secret by the companies and federal authorities, targeted valuable bid data detailing the quantity, value, and location of oil discoveries worldwide. Marathon Oil, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips only became aware of the extent of the attacks after the FBI alerted them in 2008 and early 2009, revealing that proprietary information was being transferred to overseas computers. While it remains uncertain if China was involved, some data transfers were traced to a computer in China. One company referred to the breaches as the China virus. A source explained that a foreign intelligence agency had taken control of major parts of the company's networks, making it difficult to remove the attackers. Marathon Oil, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips declined to comment on the attacks. A 5-month investigation by the Monitor confirmed the breaches through interviews with industry insiders, cybersecurity experts, and former government officials. The attacks utilized custom-made spyware, nearly undetectable by traditional defenses, posing a serious threat to corporate America. Experts noted that cyber espionage allows attackers to steal valuable data, saving them significant costs and providing competitors with an advantage. This new form of cyber warfare is executed by specialized teams with distinct roles in intrusion, exfiltration, and maintaining network access. In one instance, a senior Marathon Oil executive in Houston received a fake email, leading to the spread of spyware across the company's global network. Similar emails were sent to executives at ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. The full impact of these breaches remains unknown. The FBI informed companies that conventional defenses were ineffective against state-sponsored attacks targeting bid data valuable to state-owned energy companies, which could provide a significant advantage in bidding wars for prime oil leases. Although the Chinese government's involvement is unproven, experts point to China's aggressive pursuit of global oil leases and its large hacker community. The oil industry breaches coincide with a rise in coordinated cyber assaults in the U.S., often attributed to Chinese actors. Despite denials from Chinese officials, the persistent cyber threat remains. As cyber espionage evolves, it targets strategically important businesses, posing a long-term risk to America's economic competitiveness. Story 2, August 2008. Georgian computer networks were hacked, likely by Russian government-backed intruders. While the attack mainly resulted in website defacement, it applied political pressure on Georgia and coincided with Russian military actions. In August 2008, the Russian army invaded Georgia, accompanied by a series of coordinated cyber attacks. This marked the first instance of a significant computer network attack conducted alongside major ground combat operations outside world. Experts have identified 2 phases in the Russian cyber campaign against Georgia. The first phase began on the evening of August 7th, when Russian hackers targeted Georgian news and government websites. According to Colonel Anatoly Siganok from the Russian Military Forecasting Center, these initial actions were in response to Georgian hackers attacking South Ossetian media sites earlier that week. The close timing of these cyber attacks to the ground invasion suggests that the hackers were aware of the invasion date beforehand. During the first phase, Russian hackers primarily launched distributed denial-of-service attacks, which aimed to prevent legitimate use of computing resources by overwhelming the target system with excessive traffic. These attacks were mostly carried out by botnets, groups of computers infected with malware that allows a command and control server to issue commands to them. The botnets used in these attacks were linked to Russian criminal organizations, including the Russian Business Network. Georgian government and media websites were the main targets during this phase, with Russian botnets relying on brute-force DDoS attacks. The fragile nature of Georgian networks made them more susceptible to flooding compared to Estonian networks targeted by Russian hackers a year earlier. In the second phase, the attacks extended to financial institutions, businesses, educational institutions, Western media, and a Georgian hacker website. These assaults involved not only DDoS attacks, but also website defacements and spam email campaigns. Russian hackers used SQL injection attacks to deface websites, gaining access to back-end databases and altering their content. During this phase, recruitment of patriotic Russian computer users, often referred to as hacktivists, became prominent. Websites like stopgeorgia.ru provided tools and instructions for novice users to launch DDoS attacks, with some tools capable of targeting up to 17 Georgian servers simultaneously. These websites also listed Georgian targets and their vulnerabilities, including susceptibility to SQL injection, and were linked to Russian organized crime. In response, Georgia filtered Russian IP addresses and moved many of their websites to servers outside the country, mainly in the United States. However, even these offshore servers were vulnerable to the high volume of Russian brute force attacks. Analysis suggests that the Russian cyber operations aimed to isolate and silence the Georgians, silencing their media and isolating the country from the global community. While there was no direct attribution to the Russian government, the campaign was seen as part of a larger information battle with Georgian and Western media. Attacks on Georgian banks during the second phase led to a shutdown of the banking system and cell phone services, further isolating Georgia. The objectives were limited in scope, avoiding permanent damage to Georgian networks and critical infrastructure. Coordination between cyber and conventional forces was minimal, likely due to the Russian government's desire to disassociate from the cyber operations and a lack of jointness in the Russian military. Experts believe the Russian hackers prepared their operation well in advance, as indicated by the speed and effectiveness of the botnet attacks and the availability of target lists and hacking tools. Early attacks in July 2008, which flooded Georgian servers with messages, may have been a dress rehearsal for the August attacks. Theories on the level of Russian government involvement range from spontaneous patriotic hacktivists to Russian organized crime acting at the Kremlin's request. Regardless of direct involvement, the cyber attacks benefited the overall Russian operation. To prepare for a cyber-capable adversary, it is crucial to understand the enemy's cyber capabilities and consider security issues for both military and civilian networks. Smaller cyber attacks may indicate larger-scale computer network attacks and kinetic operations, and commanders should develop priority information requirements that account for cyber threats. The Russian cyber campaign on Georgia serves as a case study for integrating cyber reconnaissance and surveillance into military planning. Story 3. October 2008. A sophisticated supply chain attack was discovered in the UK, where credit card readers made in China were modified to steal card data and transmit it to Pakistan. The estimated financial loss exceeded $50 million. In October 2008, authorities in the United Kingdom uncovered a highly advanced supply chain attack. This attack involved the insertion of a wireless device into credit card readers manufactured in China and used in UK supermarkets. Once inserted, these devices captured credit card information when a card was swiped, stored the data, and transmitted it daily via Wi-Fi to Lahore, Pakistan. The estimated financial loss from this attack exceeded $50 million. The technique employed is known as a supply chain compromise, where a product's integrity is compromised during its manufacturing or distribution. In this instance, the credit card readers were tampered with before being shipped to the UK. Once operational in supermarkets, the wireless devices discreetly collected credit card information. These devices were remarkably sophisticated, capable of targeting specific credit card types like gold cards, and could go dormant to avoid detection. The attackers managed this by compromising the manufacturing process at the Chinese factory, allowing the insertion of wireless devices into the readers, which then reached the UK undetected. This incident underscores the increasing threat of supply chain attacks and their significant impact on organizations and individuals. The attackers accessed a substantial amount of sensitive financial information, posing risks of financial fraud and identity theft. It also highlights the critical need for supply chain security, emphasizing that companies must ensure their products and services remain uncompromised throughout manufacturing and distribution. Story 4. November 2008. Chinese hackers infiltrated the White House's computer network and accessed emails between senior government officials. In November 2008, Chinese hackers infiltrated the White House computer network and accessed emails exchanged between senior government officials, according to a senior U.S. official. The cyber attackers were able to penetrate the system for brief periods, allowing them to steal information before U.S. computer experts could patch the system. U.S. government cyber intelligence experts suspect that the attacks were sponsored by the Chinese government due to their targeted nature. They noted that tracing the exact source of an attack beyond a server in a particular country is extremely difficult. The official stated that the Chinese cyber attacks exhibited the grain of sands approach, which involves gathering and sifting through large amounts of low-level information to find valuable intelligence. Some U.S. defense companies have also privately reported attacks on their systems, which they believe are attempts to gather information about future weapons systems. The National Cyber Investigative Joint Task Force, established in 2007 to tackle cybersecurity, detected the White House attacks. However, the official emphasized that the hackers had only accessed the unclassified computer network, not the more secure classified network. This incident, along with others such as the major attack on the Pentagon by Chinese hackers believed to be associated with the People's Liberation Army in 2007, prompted the U.S. government to increase efforts to address cybersecurity. Concerns about Chinese hacking led President George W. Bush to raise the issue with President Hu Jintao of China. Story 5. November 2008. Hackers breached the Royal Bank of Scotland's WorldPay network, cloning 100 ATM cards and withdrawing over $9 million from machines in 49 cities. The cyber incident at Royal Bank of Scotland's RBS WorldPay in November 2008 was a highly intricate and sophisticated attack that resulted in the theft of $9 million from ATMs in 49 cities worldwide. This incident, which affected thousands of businesses utilizing WorldPay's payment processing services, underscores the vulnerabilities in payment systems and the critical need for robust security measures to safeguard against hacking and fraud. The attack commenced when hackers exploited a vulnerability in the network of RBS WorldPay, a subsidiary of the Royal Bank of Scotland that handles payroll and other payment processing transactions globally. The attackers gained access to a database containing the account numbers and personal identification numbers, PINs, of payroll debit cards issued to employees by the company's customers, in place of live paychecks or direct deposits. Once inside the RBS WorldPay network, the hackers, led by an individual known only as Hacker 3, allegedly accessed a database with the account numbers and PINs of payroll debit cards. They were able to obtain both the debit card account numbers and the associated PINs, though it is unclear whether these were stored together. Using this information, the hackers created clones of the debit cards and distributed them to a global network of cashers in over 280 cities. The cashers then used the cloned cards to withdraw money from ATMs in a coordinated attack that occurred within a 12-hour window. The incident, investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, demonstrates the level of organization and sophistication involved in ATM and payment card fraud, as well as the challenges banks face in defending against such schemes. It also highlights the necessity for strong encryption and security measures to protect sensitive information and prevent unauthorized access. Following the incident, WorldPay implemented several security measures to protect against future attacks, including enhanced encryption and security protocols, and improved monitoring and detection capabilities. The company also took steps to improve its incident response and recovery procedures to minimize the impact of future incidents. It is worth noting that WorldPay Inc., an American payment processing company and technology provider, was acquired and merged into Fidelity National Information Services Ltd. (FIS) in June 2019. Before its acquisition, it was headquartered in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area. WorldPay, formerly Vantive, was the largest U.S. merchant acquirer ranked by general-purpose transaction volume. The company provides payment and technology services to merchants and financial institutions in the U.S., processing over 20.1 billion payment transactions and approximately $726 billion in volume annually. As of 2014, its predecessor company, Vantive, supported around 400,000 merchant locations and more than 17,000 automated teller machines, ATMs, across 46 states and 8 countries. WorldPay's merchant base includes customers in vertical markets such as retail, restaurant, government, e-commerce, supermarket, drugstore, business-to-business, and consumer services. Its financial institution base includes a diverse array of financial institutions, including regional banks, community banks, credit unions, and regional PIN debit networks. This cyber incident serves as a reminder for WorldPay and all payment processing companies to continually review and enhance their security measures to protect sensitive information and prevent unauthorized access. It also serves as a warning for companies to be aware of potential risks and to have incident response and recovery procedures in place to minimize the impact of future incidents. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more videos. Click below to watch the full playlist.